What's up, Tweeners? Welcome back to another Tweener at Tennis video today here on the channel. And today we have a very special guest. We have Nelson Parker, one of the dynamic duos from the Get Set Tennis podcast, Tennis Culture, Get Set Tennis Instagram account. And I wanted to have him on to talk about his content creation, what makes their content one of the most funny and relatable pieces of content on the internet today. And while we didn't have Rez on, Nelson did a great job representing them today. And I can't thank him enough for joining us today, not just from a tennis media standpoint, but from a coaching perspective as well. We got to learn a lot from him and understand his coaching philosophy and his takes on current events that are happening in the tennis world right now. If you guys haven't seen the Get Set Tennis account, make sure to click the links in the description below for their Tennis Culture podcast as well, their Instagram account. So make sure you go check them out down in the description below. And before you watch this video, over 90% of you aren't subscribed to the channel. It hurts. It physically hurts. See? It hurts. It hurts. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers and would love to have you guys join us on the Tweener at Tennis journey. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on and leave a like while you're at it. Now, enjoy our conversation with Get Set Tennis, Nelson Parker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very special guest with us all the way from Australia. One of the fastest growing tennis content creators on Instagram, over 15,000 already, just hit 10,000 not too long ago as well, doing a Instagram account called Get Set Tennis, also coaching primarily, but has a lot of fun with their content, do a lot of recaps, do a lot of very relatable stuff. And we have one of the two right here with us. We have Nelson Parker, who graciously, it took us about 10 to 15 minutes figuring this shit out. So that was fun. But Nelson, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure, Phil. Pump, man, this is well overdue. Looking forward to our chat, buddy. So thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely. Please. And I think where we have to start is for you is how did you and Rez kind of start this? Because I feel like not many people talk about the origins of where they came from.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I enjoy talking about the origins. So Rez and I, we're pretty ingrained in the American tennis culture. So Rez lived in America for about 15 years, and I lived in America for about 4 in total. Okay. So Rez, my business partner, he jumped around. He was in Key Biscayne for a while in Florida. He was in New York, or he was in the Hamptons for a little while, sorry, I should say, and he was in California. So over his 10 years, he did there a lot of resort-style tennis. I primarily spent all my time down in Texas at the Nukes Academy down there, and we bumped into each other in Lubbock, Texas, of all places. We actually never met each other. We grew up in the exact same town as kids, and we never ran into each other in tennis circles, and we ran into each other for the first time in Lubbock, Texas.
That sounds about right. That's tennis.
Yeah. In some, it was some big grand opening for courts out there. So yeah, met each other there. And then we, about a year later, this is back in 2015, we both bumped into each other, both moved back to Canberra in Australia, our hometown. And we both kind of saw everything that we've done over the last 10 years in the tennis scene. We want to do our own thing back here in Australia. I started up Get Set Tennis myself. It was just myself to start off, and ran it for about a year, built up to about 100 clients, and we started getting pretty big. And I needed some help, so I reached out to my buddy Rez. He had a club job, managing a club there, and I was very fortunate. He took a risk. He came and took a bit of a pay cut so we could build something pretty cool. And yeah, risk paid off, because now we're both sort of, we're running our own thing. We've got 4 tennis centers down here in Canberra at the moment. We've got about 15 staff, and yeah, we're coming up to 8 years next month, man.
Wow.
So we're
congratulations.
We're super excited, man. So thank you. It's been a fun ride so far.
Are you doing anything special for the 8 years?
We kind of wanted to go big on the 10th. On the 10th year, we're like, nah, let's save it. Let's do a big overseas trip for the 10th. So probably just a barbecue or something.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. We'll keep our eye out for your extravaganza. Yeah. So how did the content creation come into play? Because you guys have found a creative niche of coaching and doing not just relatable content, but newsworthy tennis content as well. So how did that start for you?
Yeah, thanks, man. Real weird. It actually started from me being lazy one day at coaching. This is so. I don't know how things work over in the States too, but if you see any of our content, you know it rains in Canberra quite a bit.
Yes.
So we had a washout one afternoon, and usually what we have to do is we have to text message and contact all our clients to say, "Hey, tennis isn't on." And one day I just got lazy. I said, I'm not going to text everywhere. I'm just going to flip the camera around and I'm going to put up a video on Facebook and just say, hey, tennis is canceled. It's a bit boring. Hey, I might get one of my coaches, Buster, just do a little anti-rain dance in the background. And literally the clip went for like 20 seconds and people loved it. Thought, oh, that's hilarious. It's so good. And then from there, we just kind of just kept snowballing and rolling. And when we started doing the social media thing, like a bit more intently, we kind of had to make a decision. And Phil, talk to me. How many accounts do you look at there now? And they're doing and think people are doing the same thing. It's a coach with, some music over the background. And then they'll put up like 5 different points and like not much talking and just show like, follow through on your forehand. I thought we didn't want to be another one of those guys. We wanted to be relatable. And we kind of just wanted to show that tennis is it's a bit more fun, man. It's not just for those high performance 1% guys. It's for the average fan. It's for the family member who plays at Christmas time. It's for the kids who just want to, exercise and be with their buddies. So we kind of made content around those guys because that's 99% of what the tennis population is. And we just wanted to be real relatable and real fun. And we just kind of piggybacked off that really.
So for you guys too, because you must have a third guy that's doing a lot of the social media content, or are you doing it personally?
That's me, man. Yeah,
really?
I wish we had a third guy. So it's killing us a little bit. I wish we did. Obviously, Rez and I, we run the business 50-50. We're both on court coaching. I don't know, anywhere between 30 to 40 hours a week. And then we've got to find time. Once a week, we dedicate time to filming, a day of filming. And for me, I love Rez to death, but he's not great. I'm not great with technology, as you've seen, trying to get onto this Zoom call.
Please insert screenshot of Nelson trying to figure out how to turn on an audio bug on Zoom.
It's embarrassing, but I do all the filming, all the editing, all the podcasts, all the distribution. So it's a lot of late nights, man. I finish, come home from work, have dinner, and then I'll stay up till midnight, 1 a.m. just cutting up on Final Cut, Cap Cut, whatever I'm using at the time. And it's a grind, man. I would love a full-time guy because, as this kind of stuff, it takes so much time out of your day, and it takes a while to see some of those rewards as well. So sometimes you don't see them either. It's like a lot of hard work. So it's fun, but I wish I had that third guy, dude.
It's tough, but it also shows you how much effort you really put into it. And plus 30 to 40 hours doesn't seem like the right amount because you're putting in an extra 10, maybe 20 hours into just the editing part of it. So probably 12 hours of your day is probably tennis teaching and content creating. And I feel like that's lost amongst all of them. And for you too, I actually really wanted to ask you this because one of the first pieces of content I think I saw your stuff go viral from was like a tennis version of Batman where you put on the cape and you put on the mask. And I'm just like, how the fuck did this guy just say, I'm gonna dress up like it's Halloween and fully commit to this role? Because now it's not just that, it's everything. And leading up to my question is, what would you say is your best video you've made? Because you've had a lot of viral videos with 100,000, 300,000, 5. You've hit 500,000 with a couple of them as well. Which piece of content do you think was the best one you've made?
Oh man, you know what? That's a great question, man. That Batman one you talk about, we kind of had like a 6-month window where we really started to find our niche and our groove about what our content style was. And it was around that time where we were dressing up and we realized these skits were good. One of our favorite ones to film that we did, And it did. It got. I think it got like maybe like 600,000-700,000 views. We did a mock up of Sherlock Holmes, where we kind of broke down. I don't know if you've seen the Sherlock Holmes
it's
movie.
you are you're planning just like the Sherlock Holmes from that Robert Downey Jr. does.
Yep.
He kind of overanalyzes everything before it happens, and then you put it all together, and it does exactly what he predicted. But for you, it just went, never mind. I'm just gonna good serve.
Yeah.
Good luck. Again.
I'm sensing something big. The tongue is out. It means he's going wide. I prepare. Big right step. Move forward. Cutting off the angle. He is shocked and now on the move. The 9-egg omelette slowing him down. He stretches out, opening the racket face, slicing his defense. Ball drops short. I wind up for the big attack. He sees this and immediately retreats, just where I want him. I change my grip and cut the drop shot. He's off balance, but manages to collect himself and chase down the ball. I know I'm in control. The ball stays low, and his weak knees crumble as he attempts to scoop the ball back. This is where I punish him. I have two options, open court or body. I choose the body. I strike. I am victorious. Prognosis, 15 love, Parker. Physical recovery, 30 seconds. Psychological recovery, never.
Good serve.
I mean,
good shit.
For me, that was one of the favorite ones to film.
Okay.
But like, as you know, with social media, like, you never know what's going to hit and what's not. Like we've done videos where we've spent a whole day like scripting things out, multiple outfit changes, like script changes. One that we're finding is working really well for us now is we're doing the recap videos for the Grand Slams, which we do on a daily basis, and they're quick and short and sharp, and they're great. But at the end, we did one for Wimbledon. It was just like that was good. It was like a mock recap of like what the players might be saying to each other, and they usually go pretty gangbusters and stuff. But man, like our most popular video today, this is the strangest thing, man. This is curious, and this is so far out of our regular view range. Like we average anywhere between like maybe 10 to 15,000 views, anywhere up to like our 500,000. But then we had this one video and it got like 6.5 million views. And it's literally me with a squeegee running from side to side, trying to squeegee all the water off while it's still pouring down rain. And I just threw a bit of music over the top. The whole video took like 10 seconds to film and edit. And it's our most popular video. So you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to hit and what's not. But it doesn't stop us from trying. My theory behind it is, the more shit you make, you keep throwing it at the wall, more is going to stick. If you're only putting one out every week, every 2 weeks, then it's just a volume. It's a numbers game. So we're happy to fall and face a few times. We're having fun doing it.
No, because the rain videos that you had like a span of a week where you just kept posting rain content, and I thought you guys never taught ever because of how much rain you guys had. It ended up being one of those where I'm going, either they're getting paid through Instagram really, really well, or it's actually fucking raining as hard as it is. So it was so funny. It was so funny.
We get a lot of people ask us. They do say, like, do you guys actually coach? Because like it looks like on your videos,
you don't do shit.
It gets washed out, or you're doing dumb videos. I'm like, we do coach. So man, it's fun. I wouldn't change it. It's hard work, but it's fun.
It is. And I think one that's relatable and kind of has a side question to it is the tennis parents versus other parents video that you guys made. That hit pretty well. And those types of videos usually do really well. But for me, I could relate to that in an aspect as a coach where people that act like this. It's so relatable in that sense, especially ones that deal with it on a daily basis.
All right, son, are you ready to win?
Hey, buddy, you ready to have the best day ever?
First match, court 3. Now remember, we're here to crush it.
Okay, first match, court 3. Now remember, Dad doesn't really know all the rules.
Oh, come here. It's cross, line, not line, cross. Hey, come here.
I dare you to do one of those between the leg shots like Nick.
On the break, banana, 3 sips of water.
On the break, you need a Kit Kat?
And 3 magnesium tablets.
Well, half a Kit Kat. Dad got hungry.
Yeah, my son's only 4, but his UTR is 8. Talk about talent.
Yeah, my kid's only 8, but they hit 4 balls over the fence in one game. Talk about strength.
You won 6 love, but you lost 3 points. We're going on court for more training.
Okay, we lost 6 love, but you hit 3 curvy serves. We're going to McDonald's for more nuggets.
How much of that was true?
Oh, every bit, man. I mean, you, like you said, as a coach, you know, and here's the thing, like it's, you do have the tennis parents that like obviously have the tennis background. And then you got the parents who don't have any tennis background. And sometimes the video we made, like being so casual and so intense, sometimes those roles reverse. Sometimes you can get someone not from a tennis background and they're the intense ones. But it was more just, showcasing the fact that, geez, as coaches, we deal with some, like a vast variety of parents in the way they act with their kids. Like, I'm sure if me and you, and maybe this is a conversation we can have another time, if we went through some of the most bizarre stories and things we heard from parents, the good and the bad, like you have a good laugh and like you get a bit concerned sometimes, but I'm not joking, man. Every little bit of that little video, I swear I've heard from a parent. So, yeah, but yeah, people like that stuff. People like stuff that's relatable. And that's what kind of goes viral, because people can go, yeah, that's me, or that's somebody I know.
So let me ask you this on a more serious note with that coaching aspect is, when you deal with parents that are tougher, how do you go about as a coach figuring out how to not only teach the kid about the sport, but teach the parent about what they're going through or what they have to do to kind of support their kid through this entire process?
Yeah, Phil, that's a really good question, man, because it's something that we don't, well, I don't know about in the States, but like in Australia, we never got taught about how to deal with parents in any of our coaching courses. It's always about how to improve the kid. But I think the first thing you got to do as a coach, I'll put it this way, there's 3 things. First thing you got to do is you got to build a relationship with the parent as well as with the kid. So make it, go out of your way, make an effort to make a relationship with the parent. That's the first thing. Second of all is put realistic expectations on the parent. So throw it back to them and make them realize that, this is one of the toughest sports in the world to crack it at. I don't know about the stats in America, but here in Australia, there's only one person from each birth year that will make a living out of tennis, and that's boys and girls. So statistically, that's from Australia. That's a pretty tough standpoint to say that, out of all the kids born in 2004, your kid's going to be the only one to make it professional. Like, a lot of pressure on the kid and the parent. And one of the biggest things I do is, like, this is a bit of a cheat code for coaches, but Phil, I'm sure you've had an instance like this where maybe a kid's coming to you and say they're doing it 1 lesson a week or a group lesson and twice a week even. Parent will come to you and they'll go to the coach and they'll say, hey, look, my kid's not improving in this area, or I feel like they're plateauing here, or they're not doing this, they're not doing this. A bit of a cheat code I've learned over the years is that you are there to improve them, and you are there to help them or guide them along their journey. But you got to remind the parents it's their journey. And coming to me once a week, 1 hour a week is not going to be enough if you want to make it as a professional tennis player. So I say to like this, I use this analogy all the time. I say, if I wanted to learn a language and be fluent in that language in a year, would I be able to be fluent in that language by learning 1 hour a week and then repeating that lesson almost, once a week? By the time I come back the next week, I have to relearn it. So at the end of the year, you've been learning your language 52 hours in a whole year. I throw that to the parent. I said, look, if he's working on his serve 10 minutes of a lesson, once a week with me, you're looking at, he's worked on his serve 25 hours in a year. Do you really think that's enough? No. He needs to be doing it himself. He needs to find courts. He needs to find hitting partners. And I kind of throw it back to them. And a lot of parents will go, oh, wow, this is a lot of work. Wow, that is a lot to do. It's a bit of a high expectation. A lot of them are pretty receptive to that. So, build those relationships, set expectations, and throw it back to them, because at the end of the day, it's their journey, not the coaches. So that'd be my big 3 things for sure. So
what's been the biggest, maybe you've already just said it, but what would you say was the best piece of advice you got as a coach going into the life of coaching?
Oh man, you are coming with good questions today, dude. That's great. Going into life of coaching is just best coaching bit of advice I got. This one stuck with me a lot is that whoever it is, kid or adult, when they leave the court, just do enough to make sure that when they leave, it's the worst part of the lesson. The worst part of the lesson is leaving, that they want to come back so bad, then you've done your job. And that doesn't matter whether or not you've improved a shot, you've come up with a new grip, or you've just had the best time with them, that they just want to be part of your community and come back. So yeah, you got to think of, we always sort of hashtag it, and we kind of have a bit of a mantra of like, be more than tennis. And like, that's what you got to see it as more than that. It's more than just having the best serve or the best ground stroke or whatever it is. It's just, you've got to be a little bit more and just have the people wanting to come back, build a community. I mean, I know that's a lot, but if I was to sum it all up, is that just build a community, make it fun, make leaving the lesson the worst part. Make leaving the lesson the worst part of the lesson.
I like that, because it resonates with how you want to leave your impression on a kid, because it's hard as a coach to, I guess it's not pressure, but you realize how much of an impact you need to make in order for them to, one, come back, and two, love the sport of tennis. Because if you don't have a good relationship with them, or if they don't relate to you, then they're not going to really want to come back to play tennis because they didn't like the coach. And then if they love the sport of tennis, how do you get them to have that fun side of it, where it becomes more of a passion than just a job? So it needs that balance for not just you as a coach, but for the player to survive in the sport of tennis.
Well, let me ask you this, Phil, because like you hit the nail on the head there. And as coaches, I know you just said I gave you my most valuable coaching tip, but the second one is, I would say, is you have to be adaptable to your clients and your coaches.
100%.
Because tell me this, I guarantee you, Phil, that you would have had kids and adults or whoever come in, and maybe your particular, we'll call it coaching style, might not necessarily be a really good fit for that client. But what you do as a coach is you adapt and you mold and you find ways to get the best out of the person. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you've had to adapt on the run many times, whether it be, you've got to be more upbeat, or maybe a bit more quiet, or just different in your demeanor, or maybe you want to rally, you have to rally more, or you got to break things down more. You can't just have a one size fits all model, correct?
No, you can't. And to flip that around too, is you have to mold your personality to match theirs. You can have your own personality, but you have to find the right way that you're going to, one, communicate with the player or adult, and two, make sure you're doing it in a way that they understand, not just yourself. And the more I think about it too, and I think for me, now that I've been in my job for a while, I've started to realize how much I need to go over the top just to make a 10% impression. Because then if you're not giving that extra effort every day, and granted, everyone can have an off day, but if you're not doing that, then they're not going to want to come back. And then their expectation of you is going to be lower than what you want them to have of yourself. It's a lot of self-doubt. I feel like not a lot of people understand that when it comes to coaching different levels, not just high level, but beginners as well.
I think coaching beginners and having that, like, we have a bit of a mix here, obviously, with the with Get Set Tennis. What we do is, I would say 80% of what we do is that recreational, we'll call it recreational, and then 20% is that high performance. Res definitely goes into the high performance a lot more than I do, but I love the rec space. I love the beginner. I love when a person first gets a racket in their hand, or if it's, a social mums group or whatever it is. That's where I kind of thrive. But I think it's harder. I mean, it's don't get me wrong, there's different pressures as a high performance coach. You have to, get that person 1% better every time. But I think, dealing with more people, in the rec space, because in high performance you deal with less. It's a more,
it's more niche, one-on-one.
Exactly. So yeah, like you said, you've got to adapt your personality. And if you've got a group of, say, 6 people, you've got to have 6 different personalities all going at the same time, delivering a quality program. So something that bugs me, and Rez and I talk about this all the time. A bit of a problem we have here is that we have a lot of ex-players that finish their career and they just want to jump straight into the coaching game. And I think it's great. I think we need more coaches. But these ex-players, because they've played at such a high level, they have this ego about them that they can only ever coach high level.
Okay.
And they don't need to go back and learn the basics of coaching. And just because you're a good player doesn't necessarily translate you to a good coach. I will not mention any names. We had this one ex-professional player, and they came and wanted a job here in Canberra. They did a little bit of work with us, and they ended up getting a job sort of down the road. And when they were doing these startup, I think you guys call them quick start, like the Red Balls and things.
The smaller, the red ballers. Yeah. For the small ones.
Ballers. Yeah. So we call them hot shots here. And she was doing a hot shots class and came up to Rez and I and said, after about 10 minutes, and said, I can't do this. This is like the kid can't make contact. I'm like, I can't coach if they can't make contact. I'm like, no, that's the job. Like, you have to now come up with ways. Yeah. You have to regress it. You have to find ways where they can make contact, be successful, and want to come back and have fun. That's the job. And that it was just too much for them. They're like, no, I need to work on a kid who can, angle their forehand at 45 degrees and, go from a platform to quickly change to a step up serve. I'm like, no, like that's not what all tennis coaching is. And it's a big ick of mine. It's probably my biggest red flag with the coaches. And I hate it. I wish people who are players would understand the level of coaching. It's not just that you can't just transition into that. You got to pay your dues. So
I agree.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one.
I feel like that's so relatable because of when you deal with very beginners, there's a difference between doing a very, very beginner and a kid. I feel like you just got to make it entertaining at that point, because if they don't know what's going on, you have to make it as entertaining as possible for them to at least make sure they can do it.
Yeah.
It's hard for some people because they can't relate to someone of that level, but we were all there at some point in our lives. It's not like we jumped straight into it. Wouldn't you want to be the person that started that tennis path for them rather than do it when they are already developed?
I mean, everyone remembers if not their first coach, the first coach that made an impact on them, right? I remember my first coach that really had an impact that made me love the game. I'm sure a lot of tennis, you want to be that person.
Yeah.
Those are the people who remember. I recently read Ash Barty's book, and she raves on and on for a couple of chapters about her first real tennis coach up in Ipswich, country town in Queensland. Mm-hmm. And even when she turned pro, when she came back, she would always go back and visit that coach. Like those coaches there, people don't realize how big of an impact you can really have. And you hit the nail on the head. You need to entertain them. You need to make it fun, and you need to find a way to make the kids succeed in any regard. It can be the smallest little win. They could catch one ball in a cone and that's their win. And you need to make it feel like they succeeded all their expectations, because that will keep them coming back. Because if kids are successful at something, they want to keep doing it. So find that success.
I 100% agree. And because we are running out of time right now, I wanted to get your views on a couple current events that are happening right now. One, have you seen the CNN interview with Patrick Mouratoglou about Coco Gauff?
No, I have not. But I know Patrick's under a bit of scrutiny for a lot of stuff recently, isn't he?
Yes. From Halep.
Okay, hit me. Give me the rundown.
So CNN interviewed Pat, and please, who's ever listening to this or watching this on YouTube, please do not come at me saying I don't have all the facts. This is the gist of it, because the internet is a very, very scary place. Mouratoglou went on CNN and they did a piece about him being one of the, I'm not going to say masterminds, but one of the people to help Coco get to where she is today.
Yep.
That's not even close to who coached her, at least in my mind. What do you think of Mouratoglou as a coach?
I don't see him as a coach. I see him as a brand. I
Okay.
mean, he's building his brand. He's to be fair, I didn't know much about Mouratoglou until I watched that Netflix. What's the series? He did a Netflix series. Playbook or
Playbook.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I learned a bit about him then. And I'm not saying that he doesn't do a good job, but he's at this current stage, he's a brand. He's building his brand, and his brand is that he coaches the best, and he's one of the most unbelievable coaches. So if he said things about him being instrumental in Coco Cough, it's dude, people do it here. People do it like we got this one coach. I'm not gonna lie, I've done it. So I played Kyrgios when I was 18 and he was 13, and I beat him, and it was in doubles. And I tell people I beat Nick, but you know it's and I told okay. Right now it's like a 1-0 against Nick. But look, I would say that's what he's trying to do, man. He's trying to build his brand and put his fingers in as many pies as he can to be that coach. So it doesn't surprise me at all.
It just for him, I'm not saying I'm that level of coach or anyone is at that level. It takes a lot to be a coach for a professional tennis player, especially for those that are doing well. But for someone to build a brand, it's great. He's done, in terms of marketing, his marketing is fantastic.
Oh, agreed.
But at the same time, Holger Rune now injured, Coco Gauff with Brad Gilbert, Serena was already established.
Correct.
Halep was already established. Look where that is now. And so it's one of those things where we want to see from the ground up. That's all I'm asking to say. Like we need the ground up start with a player.
And that would give that recognition to him that he is what he is. I 100% agree. It's like if you're in a Super Bowl winning team and you catch the last pass, you're a relatively no-name running back, but you catch the last pass and that wins you the game. Yeah. You're not the reason you won the Super Bowl. Yeah. And it's a similar thing with that. You can't cherry pick and I'm not saying that he's not a good coach. I don't know enough about his coaching style and what he does. But I understand where he comes from, and I do agree. I'd like to see more of what he does, and I would love to see him take on a ground route athlete and go all the way through and see where that would be a great test for him for sure.
I 100% agree. And you've talked about this with Rez too. The GOAT now is who?
It's Novak.
You look so happy saying it. You look
look, I know, man. I'm a Federer fan. I love Fed, but like it's getting to a stage. You just can't deny it. Like you can't be biased anymore. He's 36, for God's sake. Like he is doing things that are just, and he's done it over multiple generations. Yeah. Like he's beaten guys before the big three. He's beaten the big three. He beat the next gen. And now he's beating like Carlos. And like he's just, and there's been multiple slams he hasn't been allowed to play, or he's been disqualified for hitting, lineswomen as well. So that's
wow.
Dude. He's the GOAT. I don't think you can argue that anymore. Would you agree?
Yes. I think Matt. Well, listen. There's always going to be an argument about people's favorite, and I think in the fan favorite, you always see it too. It's that award, the ATP sportsmanship or whatever the awards are, and every year it's Roger, Rafa, Roger. And he wasn't even fucking playing. So he'll never be the people's favorite, but he will be the greatest of all time when it comes to it. I can't get over it. I can't, because now do you think he'll make it to 30?
Oh, we have this debate all the time, man. Me and Rez, I think he will. I think he's going to get to 30.
Really?
Dude. Like, I mean, what he won, he's 36. He won 3 out of 4 slams this year. Could have won all 4. I mean, does anyone see him slowing down next year, or do we see him reaching another 4 slam finals? Because I mean, say he does a repeat of this year, which is very possible. That takes him to what, 27? I mean, come on, man.
He's beating Margaret Court for sure. I think that's it's not even close.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I mean,
smash Margaret Court.
If he does it in Australia too, it's on Margaret Court. It's it's really
hang up on Margaret, man. Here we go.
I hate you. That was it's not his celebration. He just mocked the celebration. This is what I don't get about people. Twitter will say that it's Novak and Benz. It's not. It's clearly not. Not once has Novak Djokovic ever done that, except to mock a 20-year-old. They just absolutely floored with. Like, no. Petty. And that is why, now we all say it together, that is why he's the numerical champion and not the people's. So.
Agreed. That's agreed.
Nelson, thank you so much. Nelson, thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate it. You guys are so much fun to watch and follow, and make sure to follow them down in the description below. Make sure you follow their podcast. I believe Culture Tennis, if I'm mistaken.
Tennis Culture, Tennis Culture, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Their Instagram gets at tennis. I mean, these guys are hysterical. They're amazing, and just follow them. That's all I gotta say. So, Nelson, thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks, guys.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much, man.